Okay, welcome back. This is the committee of conference of H.949, the yield bill. And when we left, we had given you our finance 15.5 down 1% a year until we had either the foundation formula or 112% interest excess spending. And after working with staff, we have a proposal, and Scott, I'm gonna let you flush that out. But have we actually got it drafted?
Do we?
I think we do.
You do? Can you share it?
I think come up and share. Yes. Give me 1 second to send it up.
It's pretty rapid thunder. I think we should all be going to the basement and stuff. It's very basement.
Yes. Yeah.
I've never been there far down.
Oh, you gotta go.
They closed down.
It's a little thing. I've been once.
There is a basement. I think all the HVAC equipment sits down.
Yeah.
Which is where the noise is.
So, I am John Gray, with the Office of Legislative Counsel, and I haven't really had a chance to review what I just sent. So, I hope that's right. It is in the form of a conference committee report, so it tries to include all of the elements. That you can see all of them, and then at that point, I will turn to Beth for the. My computer responded. Okay. Hopefully this will be. See if I can make it a little bit larger. So, form of a conference committee report. Start with your yields. I think this is already agreed. This is the Senate construct, the latest budget data. It's nice to have yields in the yield bill.
Yes.
So that's good. Excess spending exemption.
And actually, I'm sorry, while the yield is up, I just want to I don't know how much, we didn't really have as much conversation and or political theater about this as we could have. It was a big deal for the House to switch to the single year buy down. And I did not make as much of a demonstration about it as I probably should have for, propriety and strategy's sake. And so I just want to name that that was a huge benefit.
We know
Okay.
that
Yeah.
is important.
Okay.
It's also important.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
So excess spending exemption. I just can't even recall what drafts we've shown in here. If we have shown, because we've talked a lot about concepts, I got frustrated at how many sections I was having to re-amend the statute. So I've switched to trying to do a session law approach that just sets up a schedule of excess spending penalties across the years. So you will have an initial reaction to this, but I will get to a session law provision that will make sense of what's happening. So for the excess spending exemption, this is the extension to Bill I-1 2026. So something that's never been brought up before. So I think that is where folks are. And then for the excess spending penalty transition, this uses the current law concept base of FY25 statewide average district per pupil spending, but it tries to clean up the section that has this. So it's using the same kind of format that you saw for switching to the foundation formula base. But this is really important, the statewide average district per pupil spend. So this is the current law concept. It's just cleaned up. And before you react to this 112.5, what this is doing is setting what is envisioned as the in perpetuity permanent excess spending threshold if there is no foundation formula. This would not be hit till FY31, I believe. And so the real place to see the schedule of the proposed excess spending threshold transitions is here. It notwithstands that section we just went through, and says beginning in FY28, threshold shall annually decrease by 1 percentage point according to the following schedule until reaching that statutory excess spending threshold in FY31. Of course, that statutory threshold would be repealed if the foundation formula comes to effect. Another advantage of having this in session law, I don't think you have to create any weird contingencies that tie to Act 73 or whatever's happening in 955.
And so if the foundation formula follows the schedule in 9055, we would never even get to 113.5.
That's correct.
Okay.
You would end at 114.5. You'd have in FY27 current law 118, in FY28 115.5, and in FY29 114.5. To try to draw out what I recall comparisons against if you had used alternatively the formulation of the foundation formula base. The comparable figure to the base, I think, was 114.2%. So you're at 114.5 the fiscal year before rolling into the foundation formula. And then the FY30 and FY31 are only with that foundation formula rollout doesn't happen. So I can pause here if folks time to digest.
And then the default that's in above that 112.
112.5. It's 112.5 other than 112.
Thank you.
Just to call out the other pieces of the bill, so you have the full package here. They should all be familiar, but it's the renter credit 1-year expansion for claim year 2027.
12.5, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it goes up to 12.5. That's exactly right. And you have the increase, you have the increased cap to the 3250.
Then it goes back down to 10 at the following.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think part of why this might confuse folks yesterday is that the 1-year narrowing back to current law happens at the same time that the circuit breaker expansion occurs. So you're seeing different things happening in the same section. But this is the actual expansion itself. 8, 9. Then you have your circuit breaker expansion, FY28. The new pieces you have are, this was what was discussed this morning related to the Department of Tax.
Right.
Essentially, I think the claim is that 47K threshold is just one policy lever. There's one lever in the mechanism. Up to this point, the circuit breaker expansion, which I think was already agreed to, had only touched the municipal and the statewide municipal, statewide and municipal circuit breaker 47K threshold. Now what you see is pulled in updates to that bottom income threshold in the property tax credit itself. So this is what was discussed this morning. And I think there was alignment there as well, if I understand correctly. But highlighted just to show it's new. Otherwise, this is what you've seen before. And I'll scroll down. This is the narrowing of the renter credit. It just happens to happen in the same fashion.
That would.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just because both the renter credit and the circuit breaker are in the same statute. We'll quickly test these. The thing you do see here, and you guys have already seen this before, but this is the renter credit narrowing. And this is the increase of the statutory caps for the circuit breaker expansion. So they're happening at the same time.
Which is permanent, not temporary.
Yeah, the circuit breaker expansion is permanent. The renter credit is a 1-year expansion. We didn't have conforming changes. I do need to clean this up because it's striking the old concept, but this would just be repealing whatever happens to be the excess spending statute at the time the foundation formula rolls into effect. So it's truly just conforming changes. This one would technically take effect June 29th, 2029. Right before foundation hormones, exactly. And then these, which set the circuit breaker expansion, once you have the homestead exemption, technically take effect July 2nd, 2029, the day after the foundation formula comes into effect. But this is just redoing what happened above because you now have an amended section saying here. With that, I come to the tuition section. And I don't know if Beth wants, I doubt she wants to speak to this, but I would ask her to speak to this
Presumptuous.
rather than,
Beth St. James, Office of Legislative Counsel. I can walk through the language, but I think need to phone a friend on any math concepts involved here.
I'm so sorry, I can barely hear you.
Okay. Nope, not a problem. Notwithstanding any provision of law to the contrary for fiscal years 28 and 29, only the tuition paid to a public or approved independent receiving school shall not increase more than the relative percentage increase in the statewide average per pupil spending between the previous fiscal year and the fiscal year preceding that. So for FY 28, that would be the relative percentage increase between spending in FY 26 and 27. And tuition could go up by that percentage. And then the tuition overcharge or undercharge provisions would still remain applicable. So the truing up process. And that's only applicable to public schools, yeah.
Can I ask, so all of these other provisions we've set in place are forever provisions, why is this one? Why should this one be temporary?
Well,
So, and I guess, sorry, to be clear, what we offered was temporary, but our excess spending construct was more temporary. So I guess
well,
if one's going on forever, I feel like maybe I'm not explaining myself very well.
I mean, we worked with what you gave us.
Okay.
It's just said why you have 29 construct.
Okay, thanks.
Try to find some way, that's very.
It's a wild area of
Taxes
statutes.
look simple.
I know, it's a wildly messed with a confusing thing.
It is very complex system. But this would put some, reflect the downward pressure that would see.
I think we're gonna need to sort of,
Yeah.
discuss amongst ourselves and just sort of like make sure we're getting our head around what's included here and not included here.
Yeah.
And likely we would want, the sort of the whole construct to be in perpetuity or with the, like, this should match the excess spending threshold timeline, I guess. is what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Okay.
But do either of you have questions about how this language works?
The thing about relative percentage increase, I was wondering about the relatives.
With relatives to?
Yeah.
Long cycles.
Year over year.
Julie Ricker, JFO, the relative percentage change, that's just comparing to the prior year. Right, so it's calculated by taking, for instance, in FY 28, it would be taking the relative percentage increase from FY 26 to FY 27, which is calculated as the difference between FY 26 and FY 27 divided by FY 26.
And what has that,
And from FY 26 to FY 27, the relative increase was 4.9%. 4.9% was the relative increase.
and what was the NEPA?
Oh, that's a good question. Give me a sec, I'll need to fill that out. From FY 25 to FY 26, it was 6%. And prior to FY 25, we really can't compare because we were under a different weighting scheme.
I mean, we just use 28 and 29 because that's what you guys.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem extending it to.
Okay.
You know, to how as far as we end up agreeing on how far the excess spending threshold is.
Okay.
So the statewide average per pupil spendings across all grades, all schools.
It's the head spending divided by the total weighted student capital. Also,
We use a statewide average for the excess spending.
Yeah.
And so can you say the two numbers again, the growth and the
Sure,
average?
so the average per pupil spending relative increase from 25 to 26 was 6%. And from FY 26 to FY 27 was 4.9%.
And
And I'm pulling up NIPA right now. NIPA was 26 to 25 to 26, 1.9%, and 26 to 27, 2.8%. And that's the forecast from the economists.
thanks.
That would be much higher potentially.
yeah, it's enough.
That's the fact.
I mean, I mean, they still set their tuition, but they have to be under that.
I think we need to go to talk. Thank you for this. Do we?
I guess I'm just trying to figure out the difference between this average per pupil spending relative to the announced that we've talked about.
Does that number show under that fund outlook? Julia, the average,
Which number?
the average people spend, I don't think it does.
No, so the average per pupil spend is calculated by literally taking the statewide education spending divided by the long-term weighted ADM.
Yes.
So you can do that by taking line 11, which is the ed payment,
12.
line
No,
12,
you're right, line 11.
line 11 divided
Divided by-
by, is it D or E?
It's that right there.
F, whatever the
So,
long.
yeah, so the numbers that they get are.
Yeah,
there. Okay.
Okay.
And it's different than that line on the Ed Fund Outlook, that's the relative change in education spending. Because that's solely looking at the growth in education spending. Whereas what we're talking about here is the growth in the per weighted pupil spending. Right, so it's taking into account both the growth in education spending and the decline in the weighted student count. Assuming that those are the directions.
So just math. If you maintain your level of spending, but the number of students goes down, your per pupil spending goes up.
Correct.
Look, our trajectory, that number's been going down.
And think like back up again.
There's spending and there's spending that going up. I think it's also, I think we're treating all these schools the same. All the portion and it doesn't. They're all getting treated the same. Period.
Yep. Now it's too loud.
Yep. So I think we need to take a break and think I'm supposed to be back over there at 6.
Is there anything else that's different?
6.
That's it, right? The effective
That's
date.
it, I got this stuff we've already talked about.
Do we want 7?
Sure.
Do you guys want 7:30 so you can have dinner?
Actually, make sure
I'm going home for dinner.
Go to work pizza.
No pizza, no ice cream.
You said
I know that's your committee rule, but if you want to order pizza, I'd eat some. As a non-finance
Pizza you
member.
want.
Okay,